Hi guys, this is Grace and welcome to my channel and welcome to our latest episode of our creative exercise series. This is a series that I'm doing this year in my YouTube channel where I am getting prompts of what to do or how to be creative in my layouts with the book Daily Creative by Todd Henry. And you can always check out the link in the description box below to see the book on Amazon. No, I do not get any paid extra thing to promote that book. It was just a book that I read with my team at work, and it really resonated with me, especially the trying to find different prompts to be creative. So today, the prompt is intelligent agency, or adjacency, I should say. And basically the idea of the intelligent adjacency is that you will divide your task into groups and then put them all together. So the plan that I had initially in my head was that I am going to put together or plan the pictures first, and then plan the papers, and then plan the embellishments, and then put them all together. That was how I envisioned this. And as you can see, I'm not really doing that here because I have my papers, and then in my head at this point, I am working with photos first. But then as you can see, I'm pulling papers. And as much as the intelligent adjacency works, I don't know if it works for me or it's just it doesn't work with this particular project that I'm making. So one of the things that the author said about this intelligent adjacency is that it applies to your time and focus. He said to group certain kind of similar tasks together so that you are not shifting your mindset as often between highly conceptual creative work and highly tactical administrative work. And so I think the reason why it's not quite working for me is because all of the things, the pictures and the papers and the embellishments, they're all the creative aspect. So I think that that's why it wasn't quite working. But I do understand what he's saying about grouping similar things together. Like I am thinking when we batch print, right? That's grouping things together and then we just create when all the prints are done, or batch printing our journaling. Again, that's another thing that you're doing similar, and then you just use it, or you just cut up the different journaling blocks that you have printed when you are ready to scrapbook. So I can see the value of that, but again, initially in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do this with grouping things. And here I'm still trying it. So as you can see, a lot of the things are not adhered. That's one of the things that I was, because at this point, I was still trying to do the adjacency idea. And so nothing is glued. If I wasn't focused on that, I would have probably glued everything. But now I'm working on titles. So it's like I'm moving on from one part of the layout to another, and then later on at the very end I am going to glue them together. I'm also going to tell you now that some of the parts of this video I did not get to film some of the parts. I thought I had turned on my camera, but apparently it only captured 3 seconds of it, and so it didn't I won't be able to show you how I add the little bits and pieces in the circles that I'm creating over on the right side. By the way, this layout is not influenced, but it's based off of a Scrapbook Generation free sketch. And I love the sketch. I've used it, I want to say I've used it at least 5 times already in the last few years, because I like the idea of having little circles. And then they will act as a home for different kinds of embellishments. I think that type of design really lends itself for some really fun embellishing. So I'm trying again, figuring out my title. And the title will be Wrestling Banquet. Nothing fancy. I'm not a very good title maker, if that's even a role or a word to describe somebody that's really good at that. I just say it as it is. I am not very good with that. But I am using 2 different kinds of letter stickers here, just so that I can have that variety and a difference. And speaking of the title, the pictures are of a wrestling banquet that was, I believe this happened in the school year 21-22. So this happened in June of 2022, and it was held at one of the coaches' homes. And this is a bit special for our family because we had 2 kids now in the wrestling team during this season. My son was a senior, and then my daughter was a freshman. So my son was part of the varsity team, and then my daughter was part of the JV. And they actually both got an award during this time. My son, I believe, got an MVP, and then my daughter got a most improved. So that was pretty fun for the kiddos. And now I'm starting to put them together. This paper that the papers that I'm using are actually part of a homemade kit that I created for myself back in August. And yes, I am filming this, and I'm also doing the voiceover in October. So I am still plugging away in this homemade kit. But I did notice though that there was a lot of reds and cool colors on there, which I thought would really complement a lot of the cool. Did I say cool colors? There's a lot of warm colors in there. Ooh, man, it's late. Anyways, I'm noticing that there's a lot of cool colors on my photo. So there's a lot of blues and greens. And so the warm colors of the papers that I'm choosing as the main background helps to make those stand out a little bit more. Now, initially, I was thinking I'm going to use the whole 12 by 12 of that hard paper, but it was too big. For the amount of photos and the kind of where I'm going to lay my photos, it just didn't really work that I will add the other part of that 12 by 12 on the right side. So I'm just opting to not have that there. And then I'm going to piece some of these papers together to overlap and go behind some of these photos that I have on the left. First, I gotta glue that red paper on the other side, and I'm really trying to make sure that they line up with each other. But because they're spanning too far from each other, I'm just gonna have to eyeball it. Here I'm just trying to do it with my T square ruler, and I'm even gonna put this on the other side. Maybe that will work, but at the end of the day, I'm just gonna eyeball it just to kind of see where I stand here, because as you can see right here, it doesn't even, I don't even know if it matches. I mean, in the video, you can see that my layout is tilted, but I think that's just how my camera sits on top of my workspace. But I'm just gonna go with that. That looks good enough for me, and it's too far apart anyways that you will see a big difference if they're not aligned well. I'm also going to add this butterfly paper just because I think it's beautiful and adds that really subtle print there. And then now I'm going to put my photos here, and I will have some close-up shots at the end, so make sure you check that out because it will have a lot more pictures, especially with the details that I'm adding with the circles. This was also one of the reasons also that I had wanted to do this specific sketch was because this is I think my 8th, I want to say either my 7th or 8th layout from the kit that I made. And so I have a lot of scraps. And so the circles have, cutting the circles from paper actually work really well in my favor because then I have a lot of designs to still pick from, but then I just needed a little piece of the papers here and there. So I've cut the papers already with just my nesting circle die from My Favorite Things. That's one of my go-to circle dies. And then I'm just laying them out. I'm going to start from the bottom, and then in the sketch they're kind of not overlap, but they're not in a row quite lined up. They're kind of, one row is a little higher than the other, just so that it will have more interest. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm also trying to make sure that like the pattern is not in the same row, but I think I like it that way. And then I'm also deciding that I'm going to ink up the edges of it. And we're getting close to where I'm done with the film or with the video. Again, I apologize that it did not capture everything else that I did with this particular layout. But basically what I did was finished up with adhering these circles and then dressing them up and then adding the photo. You can see I didn't have all the circles on the right side because it's going to be covered up with some photos anyway. And then there was some open space on my photo, and that's where I added my title on a banner. I did pre-type my journaling here, and then I pre-printed that on white cardstock, and I'm going to put that on the bottom left of the layout. So here are the close-ups. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye now.